If you haven't been following the chess drama recently, Vladimir Kramnik, former world champion, one of the best players of all time, has been doing extensive analysis on Hikaru Nakamura's games, in particular his blitz games, and it's stirred up quite a bit of drama. Kramnik has found Nakamura's incredible playing strength very interesting, as he calls it, and Hikaru has been a blitz monster for years, decades you could say. So today we're going to go over a game with Hikaru Nakamura playing the white pieces, Vladimir Kramnik playing the black pieces from the Paris Blitz event in 2018. So this is over the board blitz. There's no cheating in over the board blitz. Let's see what happens. We have knight f3 by Hikaru, knight f6 by Vlad, b3, a Hikaru blitz specialty. He loves these kind of offbeat lines, b3, g3. So now we see d5, bishop e2, e6, g3, bishop e7, bishop g2. And what Hikaru's doing here is he has sort of a Réti or Nimzowitsch-Larsen setup. The Réti is kind of these pieces on the king side. The Nimzowitsch-Larsen setup is this bishop sitting over here on b2, this fiend kettle. And if you look at Kramnik's setup, he's going with sort of your typical Queen's Gambit decline setup. e6, d5, bishop on e7, knight on f6. Very solid. Castle, castle, c5. Now we see Kramnik grabbing this space in the center. We're only 6 moves in. And Hikaru needs to react. He has to push one of these 3 pawns to figure out, how do I fight against this big center? And he plays pawn to d4. Solid move, just immediately fights for that central space. Knight c6, e3. And one thing that I find fascinating is how well Hikaru does in these systems when Stockfish says 0.00 in a lot of his lines. This is something that we can learn from in our own games. It's not all about what the engine says in terms of eval. A lot of opening play is based on understanding of positions. We want to understand the positions better than our opponents. That's how we can outplay our opponents. d6, pawn to c4. Now, let's take note of the imbalances in this position. We have the bishop on g2. Black has the bishop on e7. We have the knight on b1, we being Hikaru. Vlad has the knight on c6. This bishop's on b2. This bishop is probably going to b7, but that's about it. So really the big difference is going to be the bishops in this position and potentially the b1 knight if it goes to d2 or a3. Bishop a6, creating a double attack on the c4 pawn. It's only defended once. Knight e5, hitting this knight, defending c4 at the same time. Puts the question to that knight on c6 because it's undefended. And Kramnik finds the top move, rook c8 to defend it. Once these pawns trade off in the center, you really do want to have a rook on the c file and potentially on the d file. So rook c8, good move. Knight d2. Now this is the first move of the game that Stockfish just complains a little bit about. It preferred rook to e1, just stepping out of the pin from the bishop. C takes d4. And here, if Hikaru plays e takes d4, Kramnik actually gets a slight advantage after knight a5. It looks funny with those 2 pieces on the edge of the board, but really black is applying a lot of pressure to white's center here. So instead, Hikaru plays knight takes c6, rook takes c6, bishop takes d4, and rook c7. Kramnik is playing really well so far. This is a good move. The idea is the bishop on g2 was hitting that c6 square. Kramnik simply drops the rook back, clearing the way for this pawn on d5 to move. Queen e2 defending this pawn. Bishop to b4, another nice idea. Kramnik simply wants to move the queen to e7 and then develop the rook over to c8. And there's a threat of bishop takes d2 followed by winning the c4 pawn here. Rook fd1, queen e7. And now Hikaru plays a great move, pawn to a3. It appears that he's sacrificing this c pawn due to that line we just talked about, taking the knight and then try to win c4. It's a tough decision for Kramnik here. The top move is bishop back to d6, but that's not an easy move to play because he just put the bishop out on b4. And essentially he would be admitting that maybe the bishop to b4 move wasn't the best and that it should have went to d6 to begin with. And he decides, I'm going to take on d2. I'm going to go for this material. I'm going to try to win the pawn on c4. This does give Hikaru the initiative for sure, and probably a very slight advantage according to the engine. Queen takes d2, d takes c4, bishop to e5, attacking the rook. Hikaru is down a pawn, but the rook is attacked. Bishop to d6 is also a big threat, so you don't really want to play rook c to c8 here. That's actually a blunder after bishop to d6. So now there's only one good move here for Kramnik to hold equality. We're on move 18. Kramnik has played pretty well so far, but Hikaru has the initiative right now. Down a pawn, super active bishops. If you want to pause the video, go ahead and try to find what is the best move for black in this position. Rook to d7 played. That's a massive blunder. The top move is actually pawn to c3, attacking the queen, and it's trying to deflect the bishop off of e5. And if Hikaru plays a move like queen to c2, for example, now this rook is free to come to d7. So that was the top move. Not very easy to spot, though. Instead, rook d7 played. Hikaru plays bishop takes f6, a brilliant move. You probably could find that one in your own games as well, because it's not that hard to figure out. Once you spot it, you start to look at all the different tactics. Vlad resigns right here. Let's just look through those 3 lines, and then I want you to let me know in the comments, do you want to see a titled Tuesday game between these two players where Hikaru starts with move 1, pawn to f3, and then follows it up with king f2? So let me know in the comments if you want to see that one. After bishop takes f6, if g takes f6, there's queen takes rook, queen takes, rook takes back, Hikaru is up a rook. After bishop takes f6, if the queen takes, now there's queen takes d7, and in this position, also up a rook. And if rook takes d2 in that position where black resigned, bishop takes e7, swap rooks, rook e8, b takes c, take, rook d7, Hikaru is up a bishop. And he'll easily win this position because rook d8 will come soon, and then the bishops will pick up these queenside pawns. So really nice game by Hikaru. Let me know in the comments, do you want to see Hikaru 1 f3 against Kramnik? Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.